Hello, I'd like to welcome you to the first issue of the Philadelphia Roundtable. This is something put together by Ron and myself, Jim Thorpe. We thought that this is a good series to start rolling to give bands more information to help them grow their business as a band. And with most times you see panels, it's always about industry people. We thought the idea of bringing artists that are out there doing it like everybody else is right now and hear from their perspectives along with booking agents' perspectives. Real quick, we'll just go down the line and have everybody introduce themselves. We'll start down there.
I'm John Callahan. I'm John Callahan. I'm an American Dinosaur. How's everyone doing tonight?
How you guys doing? All right. I'm Jason Miller. I'm in All Right Junior, and I also book for the North Star Bonfire.
Hi, I'm Ron. I'm one of the partners at Connie Zirkrack here. I do all the marketing and promotion, and I also have Milk Street Marketing, which works with a lot of different types of organizations, but also handles some artist development and event management as well.
I'm Jim Thorpe, DBT Entertainment. I book venues like Bullshooters, run a bunch of festivals, Liberty Music Fest, Dewey Beach Music Conference, and work with the Elm City Music Festival out in New Haven, Connecticut.
I'm Katie Feeney. I run a band called You Do You, and we are your guest hosts tonight and featured performer. So thanks, guys, for having me.
My name is Jack from a band called Vital Stats. We're based in Philadelphia and South Jersey.
Cool. So I think the best way to open up is I'm going to ask you, the artists, what hurdles do you see when you're booking your band on your side when you're dealing with a booking agent like ourselves up here? We'll do local.
The number one thing is really just having material online so people can actually see who you are beforehand. Can't hear me? All right, so number one thing for us is just having things online. People get to know us beforehand. They can see what we're actually bringing to a venue beforehand. They can see the type of crowds we're bringing, Facebook events, everything like that. And that's one of the biggest things we have to do in trying to promote ourselves to booking agents.
Obstacle. Was that your question? What's an obstacle? My theme through this will probably be having time to do everything, I guess, would be an obstacle. Having time to prepare all those things that you said, keep your press kit updated and have graphic design skills or teach yourself how to graphic design to make a kit, if you're just one person doing it. So I'd say time and resources.
Yeah, I echo that. It has a lot to do with having the time and resources. I think a lot of it also has to do with how you communicate with the person running the venue. I mean, you might be sending emails to places that have, hey, or this is booking at .com, and you want to catch their eye and give them something that they want, and it seems like there's a lot of variation in how that works. And then once you do get a show, you have to figure out if it's a good deal for you, and it's a lot of figuring things out on an individual basis.
Cool. So I guess we can get into the meat of things. Ron and myself had we talked about this a lot of times, is bands that really overbook and how much they think it's a good thing for themselves. But in reality, I think it's more damaging to them playing out and also the bands they are playing with on the same bills. How would you, Jace, I guess that's a good way to ask you because you're from a band's point of view and a booking agent's point of view.
Yeah, you definitely don't want to kill your... Well, go ahead. It's cool.
He just was video time.
Yeah, you don't want to kill your hometown or any sort of market, depending on where you're at. I think if you want to play that much, that you should focus on a handful of markets that you want to return to within the next 3 to 6 months. If you can hit them back again, So if you focus on different markets, you can play the amount that you want to. But you know, if Coldplay came every month, you guys would stop coming. So you know, and it's the same with our friends and you know, even fans or whomever is going to come to your show. They do get tired, and I know we get tired from playing that much too, in the same area. So if you could spread out those shows into different areas, it helps the booking side and it helps the scene and all the scenes, and it also helps intertwine the bands from city to city, which is what's going to help us propel to the next level.
I noticed a lot of places have like a shouldn't play in this city for 2 weeks rule. I always thought that was pretty reasonable. Like, I get why they do that, and I think that unless you have an extremely devoted following, it's probably a good spacer between shows.
I think it really, you know, being in a band for a number of years and then transitioning over to the venue side and then even on the artist management side of things, it really depends on what your goal is as a band or as an artist for that matter. And the reason why you don't want to play a lot is because you want people to come out to your show so that you can get paid, right? I mean, that's really what it comes down to is you can play every night of the week if you want, but you really can't expect to get paid $500 a night to go get paid or to go play every night of the week or 4, 5, 6 times a month because your crowd's not going to come out, to everybody else's point here. And that's really what it comes down to. And I think that bands confuse the quality and the value of visibility. I think they confuse that with playing out too much. And there's a way, you know, they think, well, I need to be out there in the scene and people need to hear my music and I need to go out. And they book themselves to play these shows. And you could be visible by being out in the scene. Going and seeing other shows, going to open mic nights, going to these different, you know, tribute events, and you can be visible in the scene. It can do just as much for you in elevating your prominence in the scene just by being visible. You don't have to play shows. There's a way to do it strategically, and yeah.
You can learn it the hard way too, right? And then you'll just know that, you know, if no one's coming, the day that you play a show where absolutely no one shows up, that's when, you know, you're like, oh shit. Maybe why am I saying yes to this show? Like, now that took me a while to learn, to be honest. Like, why am I saying yes to this show? Like, you just get excited because you get offered a show, but you got to think like, well, if you're, you know, can you bring amount of people to get yourself a base amount of money that you want to get paid? Then yeah, take the show. B, like, you know, is it with a band that you want to connect with? Do you want to build a relationship with? You want to play with that band? Sure, take the show. Like, we took a show playing you know, like, we'll take, like, we'll do, like, a charity show where we know we're not getting paid, but, like, we played, like, Art Star Craft Bazaar, for example, this year, which is at Penn's Landing, so we got to play on the river stage at, you know, the Great Plaza. So that's why we did that show, and, you know, they're like, you get free beer and, like, free ho-hos and, like, free Doritos and shit backstage. So it's like, guys, free beer, free ho-hos, you know, Great Plaza on the EPK, like, yeah, that's why. But now, you know, you learn that the hard way. Like, if you can't rationalize what you get out of a show, like, what's in it for me, you should say no. And when you can say no, it's kind of nice. Like, oh, a little bit of power. Like, I'm making a business decision. Because ultimately, that's what you're doing.
And I always say to bands, because I'll always look at the schedules. I'm pretty sure we all do, see who bands play. And then all of a sudden, we're like, we booked a show, and like, oh, this is great. Then a week later, we see this band playing another Philly show, then 2 weeks after that, another Philly show, and it kind of leaves us in the bind because we can't like say, listen, either cancel that show or because the time frame's too short. And I always ask the bands, and I have yet to get a positive answer from me. I was like, so you're playing all these shows, so how's your fan base? Has your fan base grown? And they all say no, because they're on the same bills with the bands that do the same exact thing as they are doing. So all of a sudden, you have a lineup of these 4 bands that are all playing the month of August in 4 different venues in Philadelphia, and it's I think it's more rampant now than I've seen it in a while. I've been doing this for over 20 years, and I've seen that happening now a lot in Philly because everybody's trying to scrounge and get that 1x. Well, when we play this show, we might get one more fan, but when you have half the bands on the scene doing that, it's really damaging what we try to do here. I know the people that on the stage here, our goal is, as booking agents, I want to put the best damn show on possible musically, and then hopefully people come to the show and it's all promoted right. And there are bands that do it and bands that don't. And I always see the bands that are doing this multi-booking shows and constantly playing and playing are the same ones will come to me. How come I don't get this opening slot for this national, or how come I don't get a slot on one of the festivals or bigger events? You know, you have to earn, to me, as a booking agent, you earn that by not just draw, but doing it correctly. I mean, if you don't build your business as a band and you really want to succeed in what you're doing, I think bands have to really be smart on how they book shows and how they present themselves to booking agents and the scene itself. Because if everybody keeps on doing this, there's not going to be venues to play, because you'll start to see venues closing and closing because people can't support the crowd.
One of the things I think Ron was touching on, which is a great thing, is that you don't always have to play to make an impact coming out to a show. Just showing up and networking is an amazing thing to do. If you just take the time to talk to people in your craft at a show, supporting local music is just as good as playing a show. If
You want to make a new best friend in the Philly music scene? Show up at a random show. And be like, I like this band. Don't tell them you're coming. Don't RSVP to the Facebook event page. Just show up and then introduce yourself and be like, hey, man, I came out to check you guys out tonight. You guys were awesome.
Best thing you can do
And
is
make a new
go
best
out.
friend. Exactly.
Yeah, and those people usually will pay it forward and come to one of your shows.
Exactly. And that's what it's all about.
I would say the only thing that you guys made me think of, that, like, if you're gonna play like a month apart in Philly, the only way we've been able to get away with it sometimes is if those shows are really different, or if you take the time to make those shows different. So, like, we were playing like a comedy show at Fergie's where we're playing like a 20-minute set, and then in between the comedians we play little jingles like as they take the stage. And from playing that show once a year, like, those comedians love us. They would never come to our show. Like, have all these comedian fans now, and then all those comedians organize their own comedy hours, so they invite us to come play their comedy show. And then, like, we do like a yacht rock theme show, or like theme shows. We did like a prom, like 1995 prom theme show. Like, if you're gonna play more frequently in one city, like, give people something fun that's different, because there's so many venues and so many shows in Philly.
Well, there's so many venues, there's so many artists, there's such an abundance of supply and distributorship, I guess, for that matter. I mean, there's so many people that play music. Every alcohol selling establishment in the city seems to feel like live music is the answer to their business woes. So everybody has live music, so you can get shows anywhere. And there's different levels of venues. I mean, you can go and do things at, smaller bars, open mics, these open jam things, and it doesn't necessarily have to affect your draw. But it's when you're jumping on these random shows that, because there are promoters out there that are just, I hate to say it, but they're sort of scavengers. They pick up shows and they'll just throw anybody on a bill. They're just spamming, basically. They're just emailing anybody and everybody, hey, you want to play the show? You want to play the show? You want to play the show? And it's like a Tuesday night, wherever. And, those are the ones you really have to sort of look at and say, is this something, to your point, Katie, is this something that we really want to do? But exactly.
Since you have artists up here, I just want to see, what have you seen successful on your bands and that's helped you guys book your shows, but also build fan base at the same time? Because every band, every artist out there wants to build their fan base. And as a scene, over the years, it seems tougher now for bands to build a fan base. And I think it's because now there's so many options in the city anymore, from tons of craft breweries, tons of cool bars. There's tons of venues, and the what? Segway tours.
He's right.
He's right. But I mean, what's worked for you lately on your shows that you've noticed that you're generating more fans other than relying on other people's draw? I mean, have you been able to get new fans through your promotions or what you're doing for events?
I think that partly goes back to not playing all the time. You like really have to make each each show that you play in the city some sort of kind of event for everybody. Make it special as opposed to just blanketing across the city all the time. So it kind of goes right back to that. I mean, I think that's a big part of if you're going to be growing and playing with different bands and trying to get into different circuits and all kind of working together because we're all here to help each other out and we're all here to make ends meet and kind of lift everyone up. And that goes band to band, band to promoter. I mean, everybody wants everybody to kind of get to that next level. It's a win-win.
Yeah, to jump on that, the thing that's worked best for us has been getting out of the city. You know what I mean? Just go to Ardmore, go to New Hope, go to South Jersey, and you'll meet people who think you're like the fucking best band ever. You know, and then those people keep in touch. You might go to South Jersey and meet one hardcore, you know, super hippie chick who then is gonna like follow you around all your shows. You know, so on the, you know, I think getting out of Philly is what's worked best for us to get new fans. And then kind of on the other side of what you said is like being honest with promoters. Like if the promoter offers you a show and they say, you know, will you take the show? Can you bring 50 people? Like if you know you can't bring 50 people, like probably shouldn't lie and take the show because you're going to build a bad relationship with that guy. And if you say you're going to do that, then you better work your ass off and do it because then otherwise you're not getting a show from that guy again because they think you're a liar, you know? So, or girl, not to be sexist. No, I was done.
Yeah, I echo that idea of playing outside of the city. Sometimes a lot of people that come to Vital Stat shows are people that are outside the city that just need something to do, so they really want to come to Philadelphia and see a show. I also think it has a lot to do with figuring out what draws people to like your show and sort of expanding on that. So like with my band, I mean, most of it's just the show. With like our band, there's like sort of burlesque kind of, a lot of like silliness. And when we put videos of that up, that gets probably our best response. Things like just showing people what we do good. And we get a lot of response from that specific.
Being modest, he totally takes his shirt off and rages all the time on stage. I've seen it. We've played together.
The number one thing for us is just planning ahead. The more you can keep people engaged by them knowing you have a future show, even if it's in another state or someplace else, it just keeps them engaged and following you. Having things planned ahead for people to follow online, album releases, video releases, anything at all, just keeping people engaged, not having them lose focus, number one.
I know you guys all brought up playing outside of the Philadelphia area, and I'm pretty sure both of you guys do the same thing. But one of my key things for bands is show swaps, and somebody like myself will always do a show swap with a band that I've worked with that has, when I say do the right thing or has their band business in the right way. They book correctly, they do well for us, and they might say, Jim, we have a chance to play Connecticut. Can we bring this band to Philly from Connecticut? And I'll be like, sure. And they wind up being your A&R. And I just know from the past and recently, I mean, back when I used to have Grape Street, that a lot of times I can get a touring band a bigger draw than any local band. And I had a band, which is, Honor by August. They would come, I would book them when I was doing Dobbs, I would book them. They would come in, work all day in the city, and for the first time they ever played here, worked all day. At the end, when they played that night, they had over 35 people. So they did like a planning doing it. They had a plan when they went to the town instead of just going playing the show and coming back. But after that, I was doing show swaps with them, and they're from Virginia, and they were bringing up bands from Virginia, Georgia, Florida to play on their shows because they were already drawing pretty decently. I don't know if you guys have been doing that or if that's like your biggest.
Guerrilla marketing is one of your absolute biggest assets. If you're willing to get out there at 8 a.m. in the morning, people are going to come to your show if you make a big enough impact on it. We do things, we try to do pop-up shows. We do things like play out of the back of U-Haul trucks. It's really whatever you can do to get people engaged, once again. And if you can draw people, swap out shows with other bands who can draw people in other areas, such as, if you can go to Delaware and they'll bring out 35 people for you, it's absolutely worth it to do it for them.
What also sadly works is if you go up on South Street and you say you've got the sick mixtape. You can usually get $10, and people do it. It's really sad, but hey, it works.
I forget what I was going to say.
If anybody has questions, feel free to come up and ask. Take a question. Who's got questions?
Come up and ask me questions. Of course you do. Of course you do.
You got to turn the mic on.
Is that chewing
I hope so. You're a front man. You should know how to turn a mic on.
I'm an idiot. Hi, guys. Thanks for all this information. You guys are awesome. Jim, can you tell me about Liberty Music Fest? What is it and when is it?
We're not doing promotion here, but it's the end of August. What you want me to plug your band? East to the West is playing Liberty Fest. See, now you got free video. We're gonna charge you, right? We can charge them for that, right? I gotta ask the marketing guy here.
I'm charging everybody.
You charging everyone? Okay.
Yeah.
Any real questions?
How do you get promoters to not charge you for things that you're trying to promote your band?
This is something that I talk about quite a bit in terms of.
Can I
the
cut you
whole-
off, Ron?
Of course.
That was awesome. Go ahead.
No, please.
No, that's all I
No,
wanted
after
to
you.
You got me.
No, I'm good. No, I'm
You
serious.
got me back. No, that's all I had.
Okay.
I just wanted to cut you off. And you said yes.
Roberto Chavez, everyone.
I'm not. Yeah, seriously.
So
Should I go now?
I'm just going to talk. You can interject however you like. One of the things that I talk to people about, when it comes to the role, that somebody has to take on the lead role of promoter for a show. And there's value to that. Some promoters are douchebags, and they don't do it the right way. Other promoters, they care about the scene. They care about the bigger picture of the higher purpose of putting on a great show and making sure that it's a win-win for everybody, the bands, the venue, and themselves. They're going to spend time. They're going to go and they're going to coordinate the booking of the show, relations with the venue, the promotion in terms of, and there's a lot that goes into promotion for a show specifically. Getting a flyer designed, getting the Facebook event page put up. In and of themselves, they all seem like very simple little things, but when it comes to a show, there's best practices involved with promoting a show, especially in today's world with social media and digital marketing. And somebody has to take on that role, and there's value to that. Sometimes it's the venue themselves. Sometimes we are the promoters of the show. Sometimes it's the guy who's the alpha male or female in the band. Whoever like the manager of the band is. Sometimes it's somebody in the band who says, hey, I want to book this show, and we want to bring in the bands. We want to book the lineup. They become the promoter of the show.
I guess what my real question was, how do you prevent yourselves as an artist from being taken advantage of by the club owners? For example, here's a great example.
Club
I have a
owners
gig.
don't do
Hold
that.
on. Well, whoever it may be.
Right.
All right. Here's a great example. We book a gig and they want you to be there at 2:30 in the afternoon for fucking sound check when you don't have to play till 8 o'clock.
Right.
Now, I don't know about you, but some people have to work and make some money. So you might be working or whatever, and I just think it's ridiculous how these guys ask you to be there at 2:30, then they don't give you a real sound check, and then you're stuck there waiting around for 4 hours. They're like, all right, you're in my establishment, buy some beer, buy this, buy that. So my answer to that is no, I'm not showing up at 2:30. I'll be there at 8 o'clock when I play at 9 or 10.
I can't get anybody here at 2:30. I'll tell you that right now.
Next time they tell you that, show up at 8, see if they tell you not to play.
Right.
I guess it's all business, right? So I would say I've had to learn some basic negotiation skills, right? So when someone comes at you with do this, be prepared to come back and say, no, this is reasonable, and hold your ground, and you'll usually win.
But I think, too, is a lot of times artists just take shows and don't really research who they're doing the show with sometimes or what the show's about. I mean, pretty much, if you do a show of any of us, we pretty much give you an information of. I have a whole spreadsheet that breaks out what to expect when you come and play a show with me. The 2:30 thing. The only time I've ever seen that on my end, if I ever done that, is if I have a national in, and you're on that national show, or you're playing like the TLA does that too. They make you come in at like 2:30, 3 o'clock. You know, those venues do it because that's how they do business. Yeah. So, but I mean, if a local promoter's trying to tell you that and you're not playing till 9 and it's an all local show, I'd be like, fuck. I mean, screw that. I mean, seriously.
Right.
You know what I mean? I see what your argument is too. Is like, but I think you have to do your diligence to research where you want to play and find out what the show's all about. If you can't get a straight answer, I say you walk away from the show and run real fast.
Yeah, you should know pretty much off the bat like when you're supposed to come in. I mean, by 2:30, do you mean 2:30 or do you mean 6?
Right.
Because those are two different things. And there, you know,
I mean,
there's like 3 half hours.
there's standards. I mean, you know, most places their load in sound check time is going to be 6:30, unless you're playing at a TLA Electric Factory, which is, you know, a larger scale venue where you're bringing in nationals and, you know, that, you know, $20, $30, $40, $50,000 sound systems. They're doing full on sound checks for a couple hours before the show starts. So yeah, that makes sense. But your average venue like this, or your average bar that you're going to play in, there's no reason for that. So, you know, that's just knowing what the standards are in the scene, really.
And really, like, we're never on time, are we?
Yeah, no. Yeah.
So, you know,
They probably told you.
if we say 6 and you're there before midnight, we're like, oh, sweet.
Is that like
Give or
the
take
musician
15
curve?
minutes,
Like
you
you're just
know?
trying to get me here by
2:30
6, right?
6:30 to me. I mean,
This is still rock and roll.
rock and roll
right?
time.
I wanted to say that I can definitely agree with all of the points that the panelists have made about not oversaturating the local market. But even when you test other markets from a regional standpoint, I just want to know from a business, standpoint, from the promoters and the bookers, that when you go to other markets, like, are the resources available to where, like, let's say, Midwest, down south, if you guys had, the resources per se, if, like, those would be, like, on hand, as far as, like, okay, I'm testing another market. I understand that I have a relationship with, you guys. Like, do you guys have the resources here so where, like, I can go into that other market?
I mean, I just booked a small tour for Cold Roses, based on bands, sort of the gig swapping concept of reaching out to bands that have played here and say, hey, you guys play, oh, you're from Virginia Beach, you guys played here a couple months ago. I got this band I'm trying to put down here in the area. What can you do to help out? It still comes down to a shit ton of emails and just hitting up a bunch of venues and getting your music out there and, sort of being a little strategic about it. Their sound, I felt, went, was conducive to going down south. And they did well. And, it's just a lot of legwork. I mean, when you're booking a tour, I mean, you talk about, like, resources. Somebody has to do it. Somebody has to be that point person that's like, okay, I'm going to put together the spreadsheet or the Google sheet, of venues, and there's tools that, like, people like us that we use, to keep things organized, so that you're tracking who you reached out to, what did they say? They said no, they're booked, so and then the whole promotion of it is a whole different thing. I mean, that's a whole booking is one silo, and then it's like, okay, I got the shows now. It's like, now I got to start promoting these shows, and that's like a whole other seminar topic that we'll do next month.
I would say, number one thing, once again, with the internet, it doesn't matter who you are. You can go find people. So having a good basis of representing yourself on the internet so people can see who you are is probably your number one thing. You want to just let people know what you stand for up front. They can figure it out for themselves from there.
And the other thing is, I see too many bands. I'm pretty sure you guys both have. Is that bands are going, like, if you're going to hop in the van right now and go tour the coast without any idea what you're doing, you'll go bankrupt. I see bands, we can't make it to your show because we ran out of money. We went home. I get I've had about 60 of those this year already, of bands that think they can make it around and do small tours because they didn't do their due diligence to find out where they're playing with, who they are playing with. When I have relationships with certain bands, sort of what he does with Cold Roses, I will, like, if I have a band from Virginia that's played here and I became a relationship with them, and you came in and you asked me, yo, Jim, I'm looking to get down to Virginia, and you fit up with that band I might know in that area, I'll hook you up with them and say, yo, contact them, tell them I sent you. And that's how you should do your shows now, because going blindly is not the answer anymore. I mean, there's national tours that are going bankrupt because they can't survive out there in these markets anymore. So it's a tough competition. It sucks, but it's a lot more research.
But the other thing too is that once you get outside Philly, Philly's Philly. New York is New York. You get outside Philly, the venue, the music scenes in some of these other towns are not like the music scenes here. You can roll into Virginia Beach and get a gig for $250, $300. Pretty easy. I mean, not easily, but but it goes back to having that. What are you sending out? Are you just being? I literally get emails from people who are like, "Yo, my band wants to play there." I get these emails, and I'm like, "Who the what's your fucking band name? Like, at least tell me. Can I at least get your fucking band name so I can Google you, please?" But if you have a presence, you have a nice website, you got polished recordings, and you look like, and of course this all goes without saying, the product has to be there. You get outside the city, you could put a decent tour together where you could make a few bucks, and then you're gonna have shows in between where you're gonna be in bigger towns where you're gonna play on a bill with other people, and then there's a way to do it so that you can get through financially.
Yeah, we're all here to help, especially coming from a band and a booking standpoint. Like, we're all here to help. So if you need, as far as resources are concerned, if you email me and want to know different venues in XYZ cities, then I'll send you a list with some bands on that. You know what I mean? It helps everybody. So if we can all just help each other out here, I think we'll get somewhere.
And also, I always tell bands pay attention what's going on in your scene. Festivals, there's tons of festivals. There's South Street, there's Second Street, there's the Italian Market Festival. We're doing Liberty Fest. There's how many more? There's tons of festivals in Philadelphia with bands that are from different areas. So you go to these festivals and network. Just go as a fan of music, and you see a band from Texas and they're awesome, and you're like, go talk to them. They want to hear from you. Especially a band that's touring that way, they want to talk to as many people as possible. That's how you can really get a lot further. Jealousy Curve, if anybody remembers that band, they played Dewey Beach the one year, hooked up with a couple of people, and they set up their whole tour through our conference, and it was successful because all the bands were from different markets, and they went down and up, and it was extremely successful. So I think there's different avenues that bands lose out on. They just got to look at this stuff and really, get down and dirty. Just try to do as you can.
It's like you said, John. It's about engaging your audience, and one of the things is most of your audience, in a lot of cases, is other bands and other musicians. A lot of who goes out to see shows just for the fuck of going out and seeing a show? Other bands and musicians. That's your audience in a lot of cases. So to build relationships with them, whether it's in this city or outside the city, goes a long, long way.
The only thing I think you guys miss, if you're leaving the city, and if you're in the city, either way, this is true, I think, you have to advocate for yourself, because no one's going to offer to pay you if you don't fucking ask to be paid. You know what I mean? Or demand to be paid, or, and then if it doesn't financially work out for you to leave the city and go to that place, then don't. You can make the decision to go, and yeah, you might lose money when the first time you go to that city, and then, keep that in mind and go back. But I think the bottom line is you're your only advocate, and don't expect people to treat you fairly or pay you fairly unless you know what I mean? On the road especially. And like you said, I get calls sometimes, they're like, come to New Hope, we'll give you $400, and I'm like, sure, but doesn't usually, that's not how it usually happens. So I would say always try to be ready to advocate for yourself and know what you're worth and get it. Yeah.
Exactly. If you never ask, you'll never know. You gotta be willing to put a price tag on yourself. What are you worth?
And I was going to say too is like we didn't talk about the talent aspect of just booking. I mean, a lot of times if you go to a different area, you're out of town. Make sure you're at an A level performance wise, because if you're not A level, going out and you're just like hacking through a set in whatever, if you're playing New York or whatever, it's not worth it. I mean, I've seen most of the bands I booked for the first time, there was nobody in there. Halstorm, Silvertide, Howie Day. I mean, I can go and we can all rattle off major artists that came in, but they came in, they're local, but like Howie Day was from Massachusetts. He came in and played like he was friggin' Jeff Buckley and killing it. And then within the next time through, he went up selling out Grape Street. 3 months later, sold out TLA. But I mean, you have to go in these markets and attack it musically, media-wise, and this, because even if you're playing to the bartender, sometimes that bartender might have more pull than you would actually think. Sometimes booking agents are the bartender and not tell you. Then like, you know what, you're really good. I can put you on this show next time you're through. And I do it all the time. If I get a band that comes through, I'm like, holy shit, this band's awesome. I'll try to find another show for them to come through. And I'm pretty sure any booking agent is not going to pass up on a great band. I mean, they just look at it as a business thing. It's like, I can build this band in my market.
No show is unimportant. You always have to. It doesn't matter who you're playing for. You never know who's going to be out in that crowd.
You know, it does come down to the product. I mean, it does come down to the music. I mean, at the end of the day, you know, I get hundreds and hundreds of booking emails, and I can't say that I listen to everything, but I can tell you, everything that I listen to that I like, I book. So if the music's good, that glosses over everything else. And I'll put you on, and I don't really give a fuck whether you're going to bring, if you're touring, I don't expect anything if you're touring. But if you're starting out here in Philly locally, if you're good, if you got something about it, then I'm going to put you on the stage. To go back to what Jim said, the higher purpose is to put on a great show, is to put the best music on your stage as you possibly can, to put the best possible show together. And you sort of let the chips fall where they may after that.
I have a question. I just had to interject. Really, I just want to go have a cigarette. But everybody here, seriously, if this is something that's new, I've worked with all these guys, and every show we've ever done has been a great time. I think it's always been successful, everything we've ever done together. They know what they're talking about. And I don't think I've worked with many people but the people in this room. So, I don't know. If you're into it, talk to them later. I'm going to go have a cigarette.
Thank you.
Do you have any more questions? Anybody have any questions? No questions. Oh my God, everybody's booking and touring all over the place. I guess if we want to wrap it up, anybody last words from anybody, or we'll do it this way. We'll do some promo. Where can they find out about American Dinosaur?
American Dinosaur, you can find us on any type of social media: Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. I think we're going to have a Snapchat soon. We're on everything. New website, americandinosaur.us. Just went live today. You can listen to our album there. And this Friday, we're going to be playing Bull Shooters. Come out and check us out. And we're going to have a lot of shows coming up. You can find out more at the show on Friday.
Whatever you want.
Yeah. My band, I guess you can check out All Right Junior. We'll be at Hollystock Festival on August 8th, and then we'll be doing a Liberty Fest here for Thorpe. And if you guys need to be booked, I booked the North Star, so talk to me. We'll book you. All right.
Yeah, so you can check out Connie's Rick Rack at www.conniesrickrack.com to stay up to date with all the wonderful events that we have here. Great music and beer on tap every night in the Italian market, South Philly's home for live original music. I'd also straight out implore you to check out gashouseradio.com. If there's somebody that really deserves a pat on the back, it's Dustin Dellinger here at Gas House Radio. He does more than anybody for the local Philly music scene, and a lot of it goes.
Thank you, Dustin.
A lot of it goes unnoticed. So yeah.
And we also got to thank Unclaimed Bands for doing the video and audio.
Yes, yes.
The other tag team duo of Gas House, Unclaimed. Go to unclaimedbands.com. They do tons of interviews, tons of content. They're out all the venues. They're just trying to, catch a glimpse of the scene. I mean, they do everything from local, national touring. Definitely check it out. And they're graciously going to start producing these videos for us and build this up, the Philly Roundtable. I'm going to promote a couple things. I got Liberty Music Fest last week of August. It's 4 days, 3 stages, over 60-plus bands come out. It's going to be a blast. Also, the Dewey Beach Music Conference, the 3rd week of September. So if you don't want to be around here when the Pope is, go down to the beach at Dewey Beach. Tons of bands from all over the region. It's a party and a half. So screw the Pope.
You should rename it Pope Fest this year. Screw the Pope Fest.
It's the perfect weekend.
You can check out You Do You in like an hour or so when we play here as the featured act. But you can also check us out online at udumusic.com. Everything is at or / udumusic. After this, we're playing August 23rd at Fergie's as part of the Honorable Mention Comedy Show. I talked a little bit about that. And then we're playing Clark Park Festival on September 19th with Rock to the Future, where I work. Yeah. Thanks for having me, guys. It's been very fun.
So my band Vital Stats, you can see online on Facebook and our website, thevitalstats.com. We're playing Holly Stock as well. And after that, we're booking a bunch of other stuff. So we'll update people that are interested. It's just really fast soul music. Thank you. And thank you, guys.
Cool. I'd like to thank everybody be a part of this for the first Philadelphia Roundtable. If you don't know what we are, you can go on Facebook and find us on the Philadelphia Roundtable. We're going to, next month, we're going to have our next topic. It's probably going to be about branding, marketing, and stuff like that. Sounds good. We just want, and if you go to Philly, on the Philadelphia Roundtable on Facebook, if you got questions, just put them on there. One of us will answer them. And we'll also keep you updated on what do you want to hear from us, either marketing, touring, more touring, or how to publishing and stuff like that. So please keep in touch. And again, I thank everybody for listening to us.